there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Hey guys, welcome back once again to Niagara Fire Corals. Today we're going to take a look at the Meckley dosing method for the reef tank. I'm going to inherit that method on my big 270, which is a 350 gallon system, and we're going to start dosing calcium hydroxide to stabilize pH and our alkalinity. So make sure you stick with me. I'm going to walk you through the whole process and how I'm doing it, and we'll see how it goes.
Go, 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 yo, go, go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go, go.
Before we get going here, guys, I just want to take a quick second to thank each and every one of you for subscribing and supporting the channel. We're very close to the second stage of monetization, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. We just hit the first stage of monetization last week, and I want to say special thank you to Yes for the very first ever super thanks that I've received. And I thank you for that. So there's a shout out for you. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. The algorithm really likes it when people are hitting the like buttons on your videos, and it really helps to support my channel. So I really appreciate all of you guys. Let's get right into the video now. All right, guys, so just a quick rundown on the Meckley method. Essentially what it is we are going to stop worrying about our alkalinity, and we are going to slowly work our way up and pin our pH at around 8.3. What I mean by pinning our pH at 8.3 is our pH is going to hold stable at around 8.3 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this method is supposed to work very, very well and have great success with keeping your tank happy and healthy. So I'm going to inherit this after doing a lot of research and a lot of reading. It does make a ton of sense. So I'm going to show you guys the setup and how I've set up to do this. I did start it yesterday so I could show you guys after only one day kind of the difference that it already has started to make in kind of the results of my pH. I'm going to take you guys into the sump room. We're going to have a look at the setup, and then I'll take you guys over to the computer and I will show you the programming, and I'll show you after only 24 hours the results, how they're already visible. And we'll go over the method, why you need to stop worrying about your alkalinity, stabilize just the pH. I'm pretty excited about doing this, and I'm going to take you guys along for the ride, and we can watch and see how this unfolds together. So I'm going to take you guys in the sump room now, and we're going to have a look, and we'll see how I got things set up. So the first thing that we're going to go over is what you're going to need in order to do this method. As you guys can see, the tanks are just waking up, the lights are just ramping up, but I'm just giving you a quick view how everything's doing. We're going to go over what you're going to need to do this project if you're interested in doing it. Full disclaimer, I'm not telling everybody that this is the way it should be done. This is just something I'm willing to try, and I want to show you guys the outcome as we go, and maybe at that point, depending on the outcome, which I believe is going to be successful, otherwise I wouldn't be sacrificing all of these frags and my 270. However, I just want to bring you guys along for the ride so that if you decide to do this method, you will have the confidence that it works if you follow the process to a key. That is the most important part that Chris stresses, is you absolutely have to do this the way it's supposed to be done. If you do any tweaks to it, it's not going to work. Okay, so first off, we're going to be dosing calcium hydroxide. As most of you know, it's better known as kalkwasser. And the number one thing that Chris stresses, I'm going to take this filter off. The number one thing that Chris stresses is it absolutely has to be done from a vat. You have to mix up a vat of kalkwasser or a container of kalkwasser. You cannot do it with a calc stirrer. You cannot do it in your auto top off. You have to dose from a vat. So as you can see here, I have a 20-gallon brute, and this is an entire brute container that has been mixed with kalkwasser to full saturation, which is approximately 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. So to put that into perspective, there's 40 teaspoons in there of kalkwasser, or just under 1 full cup of kalkwasser, okay? And that will mix up a fully saturated formula of kalkwasser. That's what you're going to need. So a vat is number one. We are going to be dosing from this vat, and I will go over the dosing and how to set that up because it can be a little confusing. Now what I've done, hopefully I can show you guys. I obviously can't pull this container out because it's full, but I'm going to take the lid off and try and show you guys. This is exactly the same thing that Chris does, so I'm doing the exact same thing. Inside the vat, you can see there, hopefully, inside of the vat, this is a piece of foam. Okay, you can see it floats around. That's a piece of foam, and you can see my dosing line goes through it. Now I'm going to flip it over real quick here so you guys can see. As a matter of fact, I'll just pull it out. Alright, so this is, all it's cut from is a styrofoam box. You can see my dosing line goes into it. I've put legs on the bottom, and you can see the dosing line comes through. Hopefully you can see that. But it does not come through as far as these legs are high. And the reason for that is it floats like this in the tank, so you're only pulling water, the clean kalkwasser mix from the top. And as that pail goes down, this will go down, 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 down. When you get to the bottom, it's going to rest on the bottom if you hit the bottom of your vat. But those legs are going to keep that line up so you don't suck the slurry off the bottom of the bin. All right, so real simple. Just use a styrofoam box, put some legs on it, and put your dosing line through, but not to the depth of the legs, and that'll keep you from sucking slurry up in it. Throw that in the tank or in your vat, you're ready to go. Okay guys, so we've gone over the vat that you will need for mixing your calcium hydroxide or your kalkwasser, and then the next thing you're going to need obviously is a dosing pump. I'm using a Versa. Now if you were to look up ACI aquaculture, which is Chris Meckley, you will see that he is using the dose. Probably is easier to program it through the dose. However, when we go to the computer next here, I am going to show you how I've programmed it through this Versa, which is still very, very easy, and you can make sure you don't overdose your tank and you won't have to worry about it. Okay guys, so I've brought you into the computer now, and hopefully it's clear on everything you need. This setup is very simple. You're just, again, you're going to need a large container to hold, you want it to hold a minimum of, say, a week's worth of kalkwasser, and you're going to need a dosing pump to dose. Now, we're going to get into the programming on this, and this is where some people get confused, and this is where some people get very nervous using this process, you know, as was I, until I did a lot of reading and made sure I had a very good understanding of what's happening. Essentially, you can see here my pH currently right now is at 8.7. Okay, if you click on this and we go in here, you're going to want to go to 1 day and click on that. At the bottom of 1 day, you're going to see your minimum, which mine is 7.98, my average 8.09, which it wasn't yesterday. Yesterday it was 8.07, and a maximum of 8.19. Okay, so you're going to want to know this average, the daily average. Again, yesterday mine was 8.07. So that's step number 1. You're going to need to know that. So I'm going to go back to all. Now this is approximately a week of my pH, and you can see that, you know, I was dipping under 8 in evenings. One day I really dipped under, and then here is day 1 of me doing the Chris Meckley method, and you can see where it kind of held right here. Okay, and that is where that daily average comes into effect. So again, you want to go to 1 day and you want to check that average for 1 day. Mine is now 8.09. So that's step 1. You need to know that, okay? And then you're going to need a dosing pump. Sorry guys, for whatever reason I can't scroll my phone from the computer. I can hear though. That's weird. Okay. So you can see here, just for reference, because we're going to do this kind of in a series, and one big factor is going to be this alkalinity here. One thing you will hear a lot about with the Chris Meckley method is that there's the potential for an alkalinity spike. There is going to be an alkalinity spike. I shouldn't say there's a potential. There is going to be a alkalinity spike, and part of his method is ignore it. Completely ignore your alkalinity. That spike should be handled by the corals. It's not going to spike like, you know, overnight, but that number is going to spike up on you. So that's something else. So here we are. This is video number 1 on this method. I'm at 7.74, and it is, you know, 9:30 in the morning. So my pH is currently at 8.07, and you can see here it's rising, and you can see here this was approximately about 11 o'clock last night, and it held to only a 0.03 difference between 11 o'clock last night and now. So that held pretty solid, and it held, you know, it only went down to 8.03 instead of, you know, down to 7.9. So it did hold. Okay, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the dosing pump, and this is where it gets a little nerve-wracking for some people, and it did get nerve-wracking for me until I understood why you have to do what you do. So you can see right now my dosing pump is still on, and it'll make sense to you why in a second. 8.07, that's my current pH. Okay, so you're gonna hit the little gear icon. We're gonna go in here. So because I'm using a Versa and I'm not using a dose, the programming is almost identical, but it's a little different. So I went to advanced. I want it to fall back off. I don't want it on if it loses connection or anything like that. It's set on, and you only have to write 1 line of code in here. And what you're going to put in here for that pH number is your daily average. Okay? So yesterday my daily average was 8.07. This morning when I checked it, it was 8.08. And now, as we just looked, it has actually gone to 8.09. So I'm actually going to change it. Okay. I fixed it. If pH above 8.09, then off. So in other words, your kalkwasser is going to dose anytime your pH is below that number. So at first it's going to be quite a bit. So that would be the programming you put in for whether it be your dose or you have another dosing pump. We'll come back to this. I just want to I'm kind of just showing you guys the basics, and then I'll give you kind of some of the theory behind it. So I'm just going to save that. Okay, when you do this method, any current means of dosing, you want to stop. As you all know, I was dosing with a calcium reactor, and now I've left my calcium reactor. The Kimura is still on. The circulation pump in the reactor is still on. Everything to do with the calcium reactor is still on. However, I have turned off, as you can see here, my CO2. So essentially the water going through the calcium reactor now is the same water as the system, and we're not melting media anymore, so therefore it's not adding to the alkalinity of the system. Down the road, once we peg our pH in place and everything stabilizes, I will need to start using the calcium reactor, especially because it's a acro dominated tank, and at that point I will turn it back on and I'll start slowly adding it to the system until I reach the desired results. Obviously I won't be needing it near as much as I was using it now, but I will be using it again in the future. Alright, so just a quick breakdown once again. To start this method, you want to go to your pH. You want to go to 1 day. You want to go down to the average, and you want this number. Okay, once you get this number, you're going to go to your dosing pump, whether it be Versa or any type of dosing pump, or the dose itself. You're going to want to go to your dosing pump. You will go into your dosing pump. So you're going to want to go into your dosing pump, and you just simply write in this line, if pH above whatever it is that, if this might be 8.0 for you, it could be 8.10. I don't know. You have to look at what your daily average is, and you put your daily average in here. So if pH above your daily average, then off. Okay, and what that's going to do is just stop dosing every time your pH is at that number or higher. Okay, and then you just need your dosing pump. Now for me, because I use a Versa, I have to leave this now, and I will bring up my Versa, and then I will show you the programming that I have in my Versa. And you would do the same with this if it was, you know, a dose or anything else. The one thing you're going to need to know, or at least work towards finding out, is your daily evaporation. So how much you're topping off a day. For me, it looks crazy here. No, I am not evaporating 19 liters of water a day. I'm evaporating approximately 9 to 10 liters of water a day, and that's in this 350 gallon system behind me here. So for your dosing amount, you have to figure out what you're topping off in a day approximately. You'll know soon enough, because if you're dosing too much, your sump will start to rise. You don't want that, and you want to try and match your evaporation as best possible. So what you want to do is, we'll use simple numbers here. Say your top off per day is 2 liters. If you're topping off 2 liters a day, then this number here, you would double it. So if it's 2 liters a day, you would want to dose 4 liters a day. So it'd be 4,000 mil. Okay, I'm dosing approximately 9.5 liters a day. That's why I'm dosing, which would be, 9,000 or 9,500 mils. That's why I have it set at 19,000 mils. You want it to be double, and the reason for that is you want it to dose the full amount. This is all assuming that you're on a 12-hour light period, because you're only going to theoretically be dosing while your lights are off. So say an hour after your lights go off, your dosing pump will probably kick in. You'll start dosing the kalkwasser at that point, and then in the morning, an hour or so after your lights come on, you'll reach that pH threshold and it'll stop dosing. So what you want to do is you want to dose that full amount in a 12-hour period. And because the dose and this Versa and that it's set at, if you look here, it's set, I'm dosing at 24 hours. So I want it to dose my full amount in 12. So that's why I double it. Okay? And if you watch any videos from Chris Meckley, this is exactly how he does it. This is how he recommends to do it as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to pound enough kalkwasser into the system to keep your pH pegged where you want it. So, to break that down one more time, you have to figure out how much you're topping off in a day and double it and dose that over a 24-hour period based on your daily average pH. So essentially it will dose in 12 hours. I'm just going to do a quick run through one more time. I know it can be confusing. It really is simple. I hope I'm explaining this. If I'm not, just ask in the questions below. I usually answer every question or comment that comes in, and I'll do my best to help anybody with this. If you're just starting out, you will come into your Apex, and your first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your pH. You want to find out your pH. You will look at your daily average one day. Okay, mine's gone up again, 8.1. However, I'm not going to change it anymore. Daily average, okay, you want to know what this number is, whatever it may be for your system. Once you have that number, you want to go to whatever you're going to dose with. In my case, it's a Versa. Your case, it may be the dose. I just didn't use my dose because, as you can see here, I use it for automatic water changes. You'll go to your dosing pump and you put one simple line of code in. And that line of code will be if pH is above whatever your average is, then off. Okay? That means anytime that the pH tries to drop below that, you're going to be dosing kalkwasser. Once you have that in place, you are all set. Now, if you're using the dose, you'll do your programming in the dose. I'm using the Versa, so as I showed earlier in the video, I do my programming in the Versa. You want to know what your daily top off is, how much you're evaporating in a day, and you want to double it. And you want to have that set to dose over a 24-hour period, which, you're only going to be dosing 12 hours kind of during the time that your lights are out. That's when your pH will try and drop below, and it'll allow that dosing pump to dose quick enough to keep you in the range where you want to be. So that's it, guys. It's real simple, and I hope I'm explaining this well enough for you guys to understand. But I will tell you, there is one part here that makes a lot of people nervous, and Chris stresses it. I've watched many videos with him in them explaining this method specifically, and you can go to ACI Aquaculture, you can look up their videos, or just look up Chris Meckley and look up this method. And the one thing that he stresses that you must not worry about is an alkalinity spike. You are going to see an alkalinity spike, but once everything stabilizes and levels out, your alkalinity will slowly come back down and into place, and it'll hold where the tank is stabilized according to your pH, and your corals are going to thank you for it. So that's it, guys. Again, any questions, any concerns, comment below. and we'll talk about it. Okay guys, so this is day 1 of using the Chris Meckley method, and I'm going to take you guys along with me on this journey, and we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so hopefully I've explained that good enough for you guys to understand, and hopefully you enjoyed the video and you can follow along. Well, I will make this a small series so we can see together how we progress as we go with this method by Chris Meckley at ACI Aquaculture. So I'm going to leave it here guys for today, and I hope you enjoyed. Once again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and until the next time, make sure you take care and happy reefing.